Okay, this is Mr. Wyrick. I'm here to take you through the Unit 6A test review. So on this first one, if we're going to simplify, remember, take this a piece at a time. So if we look at just the 14 over the 21, both of those are divisible by 7. That's going to reduce to a 2 over a 3. For the rest of this, we are dividing. That's what that fraction line means. When we divide, we subtract the exponents. 7 minus 5 is going to be 2, and the bigger number's on top, so that's x squared up here. When we get to this one, we have a negative 2. That negative exponent makes it move to the bottom of the fraction line. So essentially, we have a y to the 11th and a y squared, both on the bottom. When they're like that, they're multiplying, they're going to add together. That's going to be y to the 13th on the bottom. On these, they're both negative, so I'm just going to swap them. That's z to the 6th on top, z to the 3rd on the bottom. 6 minus 3 is 3. Bigger number on the top. That's z to the 3rd up here. So that whole thing is my answer. You should have the calculators back, so you should be able to reduce this in the calculator and get those numbers down to 50-50 of which one is right and which one is wrong. And then you just have to work at reducing each one of these and checking them to make sure they're right. On this one, there is a problem like this on the test. Talking about a circle has a radius of 9, a to the 5th, b to the 11th. The area of the circle can be found using area equals pi r squared. If this is my radius, 9, a to the 5th, b to the 11th, I need to square it and multiply it by pi to get my area. Now, on the test, on everything like this, pi is part of the answer. So I'm just going to go ahead and put pi. If it doesn't contain pi, it's not right. And then up here I have an exponent. I'm squaring. 9 squared is 81. A to the 5th squared. When we raise an exponent to another exponent, we multiply them. 5 times 2 gives me a to the 10th. 11 times 2 gives me b to the 22nd. On this one, the rectangular prism, it's doing volume. So the area of the base times the height. I'm multiplying all of them. M squared, m to the 3rd, n squared, and n to the 4th. Since I'm just multiplying, all I'm going to do is add my exponents of my ones that are the like. M and m, that's 5. M to the 5th. 2 and 4, that's 6. N to the 6th. On this one, which expression is equivalent? When we raise a power to a power, we multiply. That's AC, BC, and I've still got D on the bottom. These are all Z raised to that power. When I multiply, like these up here, I'm supposed to add them. That's AC plus BC, and we're still over Z to the D. This is Z to all of that. And then when we have this D, when we divide, we subtract. So that's AC plus BC in my exponent minus D. That's going to be this one right here. Make sure you understand everything about that. Raise a power to a power, you multiply. When you multiply them together, you add those exponents. And when you divide, you subtract the exponents. Most of this is more the same. Number 5 works just like number 1. It should be a negative 3 a to the 9th over 5 b squared c to the 10th. On number 6, when we square, that's 64, because 8 times 8 is 64. X to the 5th squared, we multiply, that's x to the 10th. X to the 10th to the 1/2 power. We multiply 10 by 1/2, we get the 5th, that's 64, x to the 15th. On this one, very tricky. The area is 48, x to the 10th, y to the 7th. 48, x to the 10th, y to the 7th. That's area. It's length times width. So we're going to divide by my length of 8, x to the 3rd, y to the 4th. 48 divided by 8 is 6. 10 minus 3 is 7. That's x to the 7th. 7 minus 4 is 3. That's y to the 3rd. This is going to be my width. Very, very tricky on that one. Look at what they're giving you. Think about how you have to put that together. They gave us the area, so it has to be this times this. 8 times 6 makes 48. X to the 3rd, x to the 7th. 7 plus 3 makes 10. It has to fit together. On the back side, when we go to simplify, square root of 81, we make our birthday cake. 81 is divisible by 3. That'd be 27, which is divisible by 3, which is 9, which is divisible by 3, which makes 3, which is divisible by 3. We get the candle on top of our cake. Since this is squared, my index is 2. I'm looking for groups of 2. That's 2 3s that are going to go on the outside. And my negative 7 was already there. 3 times 3 is 9. So that's 9 times my -7 that was out there, makes a -63. You'll have a calculator. The calculator won't always give you an answer on something like this, but you can use it to check your answer for accuracy. They should give you the same answer. And it being multiple choice, if I type in the square root of 242, it's going to give me probably 22 and a decimal, or 23 and a decimal, and I'd have to work from there. I know on this one my answer is 11 square root of 2. So on this, it's going to, whenever I type in 11 square root of 2, it should give me exactly the same decimal. So since this is a multiple choice test, you can check your answers that way. The expression on this one, when you need n. Now normally on this one, a -21 plus 4 would be a -17, so that'd be x to the -17th power, and we would rewrite that by moving it down as 1 over x to the 17th. But all it's doing is asking for what our exponent would be. So you have to be very careful. It's just going to be -17. Okay, on 11, the domain and range and the mapping, here's my domain. -4, -1, 0, 2, 7. I have to treat it as discrete. And then my range, bottom to top, -5, 0, 1, 2, 4. I put commas between all of them, but it's in order. The domain is the x values, the range is the y values. This is my x, this is my y. Domain and range on this graph, domain we're going from left to right. It's continuous, so this time it's a -2 on the left-hand side, it's a 4 on the right-hand side. This is an open circle, so it's like this. There's no equal sign. Filled in dot, I have an equal sign. Domain is the letter x. You can probably get your answers down to 50-50 if you can just remember domain is x. Then my range is y. I go from bottom to top. At the bottom, it's -3. At the top, it's a +3. This is an open circle at the top. This is a filled in dot at the bottom. And the last one. Boats rent for $65 per hour plus a flat fee of $75. Jake had $335 to spend. What is the maximum value in the domain of this scenario? Domain in this case would be my number of hours that I can do this. It's my independent variable. So when I go to put this together, I'm going to take 335 and I'm going to set that equal to 65x plus 75. At this point, you'll have the calculators back. You can numerical solve this just for fun. We subtract 75, we subtract 75, that's going to be 260, and that's 65x. So this is going to be 4 when we divide by 65. We'll come up with 4 because it's 4 hours that he can spend renting this boat. If you have questions on any of these, make sure to stop by, get your answer in the morning.